So for the past month, I've been very busy. I made my longest video yet on the channel that took forever to make, but there's also been one other thing that's kept me very occupied, and that is tiering on the Mizu5 event on Project Sekai, with my goal of reaching tier 1000. And I wanted to talk about my experience tiering on the event. I originally didn't plan on making a video on this since I talk about anime, but this event was quite one hell of an experience actually, so I thought it'd be for a fun one-off video, and y'all could get to know me a bit more. So let's dive into my experience tiering on Mizu5, shall we? First off, what is Mizu5? Mizu5 is the 5th character event that focuses on the character Mizuki Akiyama in the rhythm game Project Sekai. Each character in the game has their own character events that focus on their stories and character development. If you've watched my video on my spoiler-free review on the Project Sekai movie, you will know I'm a big fan of Project Sekai. But the word fan might be a little understatement. I'm a big fan of the game. A big reason for that is my love for the characters, which was one of the reasons why I even decided to tier on Mizu5. And due to how big of an event this was in the game's history, I thought to tier on this just to experience it firsthand. Now, if you don't know what tiering is, I'll briefly explain it. It's basically trying to reach a high rank in an event, and after playing a song you get event points, which is what determines your tier on the event. So the more you play, the more event points you'll get, making you rank higher. I never had much experience tiering on Project Sekai besides Kanade's 4th character event, but it was very casual, and it was right around when I actually started playing the game. So Mizu5 was my first time really seriously tiering, with my goal of reaching tier 1000. At first, my goal was gonna be 5000, but that felt too easy, and I really wanted to challenge myself. I mean, it shouldn't be hard, right? Oh my god. This was one of the most mentally draining and hardest things I've ever had to do in a video game. This was the most competitive global Project Sekai event ever. I was experiencing all of this while tiering for the first time ever. I played right when the event started, and this was what my team consisted of at the time. It's not the best, I know, but it gets better as the event went on. I managed to FC Bake no Hana's expert difficulty first time without even seeing the chart, so that was nice. The first 2 days consisted of me in random co-op rooms and trying to play quick songs. In the start of the event, I didn't really know what songs gave more points than others, and joining random rooms is not optimal. But as time went on, I gained a ton of knowledge around tiering. For these first few days, I was only playing whenever I had the time. I didn't really plan on what time I would play or anything, but all I knew was that I needed to be consistent and try to get in an hour and a half of playtime a day. But little did I know, I would be playing more than I could ever imagine this entire week. After those first few days, I went on the official Project Sekai Discord server to tier with people. Since having to deal with disbands and songs getting picked I didn't want, I thought it would be most efficient to tier with others that want to tier as well. It just makes sense. And this was when I really started dipping my toes into tiering and learned what songs were best to play. One song I played a lot of was Lost and Found. It's on the longer side, but it gives you a lot of points and is energy efficient since you won't be burning up your energy fast. And I eventually realized managing your energy is like the most important part of tiering. But it wasn't that much of a problem for me since I had around 130 large cans. I didn't track how many I had at the start of the event, but I know it was around there. Though out of all the songs I played, the one I played the most was Hitorimbo Envy. It's the shortest song in the game, so everyone tends to play it when tiering, especially during the final hours of the event. I played this song so much. I could play the expert chart without even listening to the song and FC it while listening to some music on Spotify due to how much I've played it. Lost and Found and Envy were pretty much the only 2 songs I played during the whole event. And playing the same stuff over and over again gets a little tiring. I ended up summoning on the event gacha and got Enna's card, and I used that card throughout the rest of the event because the event gacha characters give the most event bonus points. Around halfway through the event was when I realized how much of a challenge trying to reach 1000 was going to be. Every morning I would go on the game to check my rank to see my tier 1700 go to almost 2k. It made me realize if I want 1000 I'm going to have to fight for it. And so as the event went on, I started getting more and more serious about it, and it would always be on my mind whenever I wasn't playing. An hour and a half playing sessions went to at least 3 hours a day or more just to stay afloat. It started to become mentally draining, especially the final 3 days. Oh my god, the final 3 days was literal hell. On the third to last day, I was only at tier 1670. At this point in the event, it was starting to not look good for me. The possibility of reaching top 1000 on Mizu5 was slowly fading, as well as my confidence. And it was at that moment when I really took a minute and thought to myself, Why am I even tiering so hard for this event? Night Court and Wonderlands are my favorite groups, but I'm definitely not the biggest Night Court fan, let alone Mizuki. I always thought she was an interesting character, especially with her character development and the struggles she has to go through, but she definitely isn't my favorite character. So why then? Honestly, it's because of how big of an event Mizu5 is. I also really love the story that happens in the event. I don't relate to Mizuki's experience with gender identity, but I do relate to her fear of not being accepted for who she is, because that's something I struggle with. So I guess that's why the story hits so hard for me and gave me a reason to tear on the event. After realizing that, my motivation went through the roof. I was not going to give up. I was going to reach tier 1000 no matter what it takes. It was at that point when tearing on Project Sekai became my #1 priority over everything. Soon enough, the last 2 days of the event came. The last 2 days were the most craziest time ever. It was only 2 days, yet it felt like the whole war arc in Naruto Shippuden. I was around tier 1464 at the start of the second to last day. Not pretty good, I know. But you see, I had a plan. I'll just play 24/7. Well, at least try to. My plan was pretty much to just not sleep on the last day to have as much time as possible to tier, since sleep was pushing back my rank a lot. Now I know it isn't really healthy and I don't recommend others to do something like this, but at this point in the event, my brain was so set on achieving 1000 that I didn't care about sacrificing sleep. Fun fact, the day before the last day of the event, I recorded rewriting the Rent a Girlfriend manga video in its entirety. So once I finished that, I was locked in on tearing through the night and early morning. And I'll be honest, it was not easy. Like at points, I would literally doze off in the middle of playing a song, almost failing it because my eyes were heavy. So around every 4 to 7 hours, I took a 30-minute break to walk around, eat, that sort of stuff. It felt very tedious after a while, playing the same damn songs over and over again for multiple hours, sitting in my chair as my back started to hurt after a while. It reminded me of long road trips I've been on throughout my life, just sitting in the car for multiple hours on end, knowing you still have a long way to go, so your brain just thinks of stuff to pass the time. If you've been on road trips, that's kinda how tearing for long hours on end feels like, at least for me. But what really helped me get through it all was the friends I made on Discord through tearing. During the last day, we were all on the VC talking, which helped each other stay awake, since we were all not sleeping. Having conversations with them while playing the same songs over and over again prevented me from going insane. If it wasn't for them, I really wouldn't have gone as far as I did tearing. And if any of you are watching, thank you for tearing with me. I mean it. I really couldn't have done it without y'all. Throughout the night, I played from 5:30 AM and took my first break around 12 PM. By this point, my rank was 1288. I was making progress, but I was ranking up so slowly now. Since the cutoff for 1000 kept on increasing, I was always a few million points away. And at this point, my body started to hurt from the constant sitting and lack of sleep, but I powered through and kept on playing throughout the final day. The last day was the most I ever played during this event, since the only time I took breaks was when I ate or had to stretch my legs, and my friends and I sometimes got caught up in conversations. But I stayed focused and played song after song, and then came the final 3 hours of the event. At this point, I just came back from eating dinner, and now I was going to play until the event was over. At this point, I was 1199. I just barely reached the final 200s before I reached 1000. But could I make it in time? 3 hours left, 2 hours left, 1 hour left. And in the final hour, I ran out of energy cans. Energy was the one thing that was a concern of mine, because I had the time to play, but the real question was if I had enough energy. And after pulling an all-nighter, I burned through all the energy. But luckily I had 18,000 crystals, which gave me the energy I needed for the final hour. At this point, I was using 10 bonus energy per song. I thought it would be my final option left to secure 1000. Then, the final 30 minutes arrived. I was too scared to check my rank, so I decided the next time I would check is when the event is over. 25 minutes left of the event, 15 minutes left of the event, 10 minutes left. 5 minutes left. This was it, my final plays. It was a weird feeling. I've spent all this time playing this one game, and now it was about to be all over. It was a little bittersweet. It was very agonizing, yet fun at the same time, just chatting with my friends I made on Discord. We played Envy one last time, all of us managing to FC it as well. I backed out of the lobby and waited for my score to be calculated. 1 week. That was the amount of time I had spent playing this game for an unhealthy amount of time. And now, I was about to reach my final rank. And after all of this, my account was at tier 1123. The cutoff was 15 million points and I had 14 million. I didn't reach tier 1000. And it sucked. I spent all this time on this game and I didn't even reach my goal. But I honestly wasn't really that sad about it, because I gave it my all. If I had prepared better and actually formed a good team, it definitely would have been achieved, but that didn't really matter to me, because I tried my best. And now I can see I tiered on Mizu5. It made me realize it really wasn't the rank that I was seeking after this whole time, it was the experience. Tearing on one of the most popular and competitive event in Project Sekai history. I made friends through all this. At the start of the last day, we were all shy talking to each other on the VC, yet at the end of the day, we were all buddies. We even had a karaoke session. I went from 9.8 million points to 14 million in one day. Mizu5 also made me realize how much Mizuki actually meant to me, and now she's one of my favorite characters in Project Sekai. In the end, I didn't reach my goal on getting tier 1000, but honestly, that didn't matter to me anymore. What really mattered was everything that happened along the way. The multiple hour-long sessions with my friends filled with laughter and exhaustion, and the conversations that helped me stay awake and motivated. At first, I was just doing this for the rank, but I instead found something more meaningful, feeling like I was a part of something. And I think that's why I like tiering. It's not just about tiering for the character, but the experience and pushing yourself to your limits. But most of all, the memories and friends you make along the way. Thank you for watching. Keep watching anime, subscribe if you want to see more, and Adachi out.